You know, when we first got to office, COVID-19 crisis and economic crisis were unrelenting and devastating for people. And as a nation, we didn't have the tools to deal with either. Nearly 4,000 Americans were dying each and every day to the virus, 4,000 a day. The economy had been wiped out. We were down 10 million jobs from where we were before the pandemic. We were in a dark winter with real concerns about what spring would bring. But then we got to work. We passed the American Rescue Plan shortly after I was sworn in that gave us the tools to fight the pandemic and rebuild our economy. And it produced results. To beat the pandemic, we ramped up testing and protective equipment, and we actually went out and bought enough vaccine so that every single solitary American could be vaccinated. And because of the help of everyone, from the military to civilian efforts, we carried out one of the most difficult logistical challenges in our nation's history, to get 220 million shots into people's arms in the first 100 days in office. 220 million. Over the past 7 months, we've cut COVID-19 deaths by 90%. As of today, 193 million Americans have gotten at least one vaccination shot, including over 70% of adults over the age of 18. 165 million Americans are now fully vaccinated. Because of our success with the vaccination effort, this new Delta variant wave of COVID-19 will be very different to be able to deal with than the one that was underway when I took office. And yes, cases are going to go up before they come back down. It's a pandemic of the unvaccinated. I know I've said that constantly, and others have as well. The vaccination of the unvaccinated. You know, and it's needless, taking a needless toll on our country. You know, we have roughly 350 million people vaccinated in the United States and billions around the world, and virtually no one's died because of that vaccination. But even so, the impact is going to be very different than what happened last January. Today, about 400 people will die because of the Delta variant in this country. A tragedy, because virtually all of these deaths were preventable if people had gotten vaccinated. But 7 months ago today, almost 4,000 people died on that very day from COVID-19. 4,000 versus 400. That shows how much our vaccination progress has already done to protect us from the worst of the new Delta COVID-19 wave. Likewise, the American Rescue Plan has given us the economic tools we need to protect our recovery against the worst impacts of the Delta virus. $1,400 checks into the pockets, for $1,400 checks into the pockets of millions of Americans, help to keep their folks in their homes, help to put food on the table. Remember those long lines we used to talk about? People lined up in their cars for hours just to get a box of food put in their trunk. Help the small businesses so they keep the lights on, their doors open, and their employees on the job. Because states were losing revenue, they were having to lay off essential workers. Well, the aid to states and cities and counties and tribes that kept essential workers going, police officers, firefighters, educators, on the job. Funding for schools to reopen and ventilation systems, sanitation services, protective equipment to keep students and staff safe. And as we vaccinated America, we developed our economic tools to help our economy recover. As a result, in the past 3 months, we've created, on average, 832,000 new jobs per month since sworn in. That's compared to 50,000 jobs in the last 3 months of the previous administration. Look, even so, my message today is not one of celebration. It's one to remind us we got a lot of hard work left to be done, both to beat the Delta variant and to continue our advance of economic recovery. We all know what it starts with. As I said again and again, this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. So we have to get more people vaccinated. I said, well over, what's the number again? I remind myself, 350 million Americans have already been vaccinated. They're doing fine. I'm pleased to report the past week we've seen the first time vaccinations in America go up by 4 million people getting back, 4 million shots. That's more than we've seen in a long time. I want to thank the governors. I listened to the governor of Maryland today on the television. He's doing a heck of a job. Democratic governors as well, Republican governors. They're getting the word out. Look, as you all know, I put in place new incentives and requirements to encourage vaccinations. For example, federal workers will be asked to attest to their vaccination status. Anyone who does not attest or is not vaccinated will be required to wear a mask no matter where they work, test 1 or 2 times a week, socially distance, and generally will not be allowed to travel for work. There will be more to come in the days ahead. And once again, I want to thank the local leaders and the private sector leaders who are imposing vaccine requirements. America can beat the Delta variant, just as we beat the original COVID-19. We can do this. So wear a mask where recommended. Get vaccinated today. All of that will save lives. And it means we're not going to have the same kind of economic damage we've seen when COVID-19 began.